Hello and welcome to BW London podcast. So something that I've been thinking about for weeks is when Kevin Samuels often talks about how different things were in the 50s or 50 years ago. He talks about the marriage statistics and so on. And I'm always trying to put it together in my mind because I know so much has changed. And I'm like, what are these things? So I've put together 10 things, and in no particular order. The first one would be, of course, weight. He done that last night on his show. Actually, he said type in 1950s, I think it was, black women, or 40s, and pictures came up, and he talked of the collarbone and so on. And yeah, as we know, weight has changed. The thick, slim woman is in. Prior to that, I mean, the 90s was more about busty women, but for a long period, as long as I've been living, and I'm 39, as long as I've been living, black women promoting to one another to be thicker and even having that stomach and the belly, everything's fine, Most of our aunties look this way, so that is definitely one big change. I tell you one I thought about recently. It was plastic surgery. There was a woman on the Jumper Show or something? Ooh, I was like, could you imagine being back in the 50s or 40s and someone showing you this woman? How would you explain that? Would you even think it was real? How would they explain that? I would imagine only the plastic surgeons and stuff might have seen, like, the future, that might be possible. They tend to experiment long ahead, way ahead before things reach the main market. So for all you know, it was being explored at that time. But for the general population, that would have looked absolutely crazy. And you've got men that take on and try to endorse the Kardashian body shape and the lips, and oh my gosh, how would it have looked? And gone is that kind of natural white woman look with the thin lips, which does look weird to me now, and it shouldn't. I'd imagine maybe it doesn't to men, but it does look weird to me now. The original kind of playboy, bunny boys, bunny, whatever. Told you I'm bad with popular culture, but yeah, the women don't come like that anymore. So another one for me would be fast foods. I mean, women cooked meals as well as washing their own clothes and walking to places. They cook their own meals. So imagine seeing this bread and bread that lasts on the shelf for weeks, and onions. I buy onions now that don't even necessarily burn my eyes. It would look like a freak show. And can you imagine all the carrots and the tomatoes and all these vegetables all the same size? They would have been like, is this plastic food? The first time I went to an allotment and I saw real carrots and well, let's not even mention the scary cucumbers with the spots on them. Oh, but the carrots and stuff in all different sizes and looking really awkward shaped. I was fascinated, and I thought, that's the norm. And my eyes is more adjusted to seeing it looking like plastic fruit and veg. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that definitely would have looked wild to the people back then. Do you know what I mean? The other thing is women in the workplace. That would have been that would have been fascinating to see now, especially how many jobs we do. I guess I'm not sure what the jobs were that we didn't do then that we do now, but I'm sure there's a ton of them. But you know what? I think they would have recognized. Oh, isn't equality interesting? Women are not racing to do the real hard labor jobs, though, are they? The jobs that actually do pay a lot of money, but we don't have the manpower to do it. But yet we cry on, I can't even be bothered. I really am annoyed by how duped we've been, and how men have just been looked at as the oppressors and the bad guys, and so much statistics have been played with, like men and women, how much they make in the workplace, when ultimately we've heard time and time again now, haven't we, that the actual pay gap is based on the actual skills. There are men work longer hours and they do the harder jobs that women don't do and can't do and shouldn't do. Another one was, the freedom, the sexuality. I don't know how they would have, we do know, they would have scorned it. Those women, they would have definitely scorned it. Not to say that they were perfect, but the openness of women's liberal sexuality would have just looked crazy. The one night stands, the getting drunk on the roadsides. oh, you should see the streets of London and all the big cities in the UK. It's just known for the women being more violent, the women doing more vile sexual acts, far more partners. Can you imagine the shows like Maury? Who's the father? Oh my goodness. 10 fathers come up and none of them are the father. Nuts. Another one would be the church would have been a big one. Looking at how it's become a place where women go, can dress as they like, just like Kevin Samuel says, can have as many baby fathers as you like, sit on the front row, go up to the altar, ask for things like God is a genie in the bottle. Remember that lady on Kevin Samuels that says, he's my homie, Jesus is my homie, he's my bro, man, he's my bro with her bonnet on. Oh my Lord. Yeah, all of that. That would have been crazy. Another one would be, I'd say, oh my goodness, of course, women's masculinity. The women back in the day used to dress so elegantly. The fur on the coats, the lovely outfit. Oh, so elegant. The shoes wouldn't be seen in trousers. But I don't think it would have been, because I remember quite late, it was quite early on, so up to 50 years ago, women were in pantsuits and things like that. But it would have been just the masculine behaviour that would have been unheard of, which leads me on to how hard women work. Just how hard women work now. And not to say that they didn't work hard in the home, but seeing them work hard in this way and without families, and those women would have been very clear, very, very clear about what makes a woman happy, because majority of them weren't going through antidepressants and all what we were going through. Not to say they didn't have their problems, but it weren't to do with the household as such, or as much as they'd like us to believe, with things like the colour purple. And I'd say one that would shock them is how easy we leave our marriages, how weak we are, how sensitive we are, how we walk away from husbands, even for things such as infidelity, when those women, they knew men, they understood men so much more. The whole concept of at least he comes home and comes back to me, we don't understand that. We think that that's weak, when really that was a strong woman's mentality, to not put her feelings first and to just put her family first and not her happiness, and know that marriages have its up and downs. That's why they have the 50-year anniversaries. So yeah, but because I just really try to step back into the eyes of a woman back then who obviously isn't a modern woman. What would she think now? How crazy would things look now? And it does look crazy. All right, well, thanks for listening.